I'd like to call to order the meeting of the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I would like to call for a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the meeting minutes from the last library board and also the library board expenditures for January 2023.
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
I second.
Okay, motion and second. Brett, would you like me, when you're taking minutes, to say who motioned and who seconded?
He's in the
Would you like me to say that?
It helps, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brett made the motion and Katie second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Financial reports. We really didn't get the financial reports, did we?
Well, we got the portion of that is in there.
Because Joe's portion we
Yeah.
had, but
So this document usually has another page to it. This is on 3AA in your packet or page 7. And that's what really, it doesn't, I don't know that it's important right now anyways, because those accounts will be condensed after the audit. So that's in March. So we should have a new fund page that's condensed. So other than the changes in CDs.
yeah,
that's about
it's
it.
the portion that Carrie would usually provide, but
Yeah.
because of it being February, we will be getting our audit in March. I was also gonna put together a spreadsheet, but I figured we're gonna be talking about it in March, so we'll handle the whole thing. Normally what happens in March with the audit, there may be some changes, and then we make provisions if was money left over from last year's budget. The money either gets moved into the board fund balances, or we can designate it for projects that are coming up. Okay, so, all right.
And I see a couple of donations.
Yes, we do have some donations.
Can-
In memory of Kenneth Porter, we had a $300 donation, and we had a donation from James and Amy Poets for the kids program of $250. And we appreciate the people who support us through their donations. And we're very lucky because we do have a lot of good support.
Yes.
Okay, any questions? If not, we will move on to, we have a guest. We have a guest today. We have Ms. Gina Beertzer. Okay. Ms. Gina Beertzer, who is head of the West Bend
Done.
Downtown Association.
Yep.
And she's here today to talk to us briefly about the farmers market that will be temporarily moved this year because of the construction on Main Street. So Gina, if you would like to give the board a little update?
Sure. So, in December, we went in front of Common Council and asked for their approval to move the farmers market on the location right here on 6th Avenue, as well as using Poplar and also using 5th Avenue. And we were approved for that. And what I wanted to do today was just to touch base and know what your concerns are, see what we can do to alleviate any of those concerns. It's my understanding that on Saturdays that you open at 10?
9.
Okay, so we will have some overlap. We are done with the market at 11. As you know, our vendors are told that they have to pack it up and kind of vamoose as quick as possible. If any of you have ever been to the market in downtown, you'll notice they're good at that. By usually 11:15, you don't even know there was a market there, and they're rolled up and moved on. We are still expecting about 90 vendors. We currently have about 60% already filled in. We're also allowing any of the district business owners that, especially the ones disrupted by the construction, to get free spots so that they're able to be up there and be in front of a crowd for a while. And also just to be able to let everybody know that they're still gonna be open. So, they'll come out on Saturdays and somebody will say, oh, I can't get you. They're still gonna be open Monday through Friday for the majority of them. Some are tailoring their hours a little bit, but we just want them to be able to let the community know that they're open. As far as the roundabout right here, which would be probably the largest, I would say constraint or obstacle to get here, we're not gonna block the roundabout. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put our barricades on the 6th Avenue side and the Poplar side, so that people will still be able to turn around in that roundabout. Our main informational booth will be on the 6th Avenue side, or the Poplar side, and one of our vendors has agreed to put their booth on the opposite side. Per the police department, we need to have vehicles blocking any barricade that we put up. So, with the Waukesha parade. So, does anybody have any questions or concerns, anything that you want us to watch out for?
No, only thing my observation, not from your point, is from our library point. Cars drive pretty fast down this street, and we've got kids running, and I get so fearful in the front. And this is just for your own knowledge, I'm sure, but it's always been a pet thing with me, because when I'm driving down, or even when I'm parking out here, cars zip by, not realizing this
Somebody
is.
just did that to me.
Yeah, so but that's not really anything with the farmer's
But it's
market.
good to know, and those cars that are doing that may assume that they have a
Clear shot.
a clear shot, and going around a roundabout, no stop and goes. They're gonna
Yeah.
find. Yeah, it's gonna be a
Slow
stop.
Now for us, one of the things I think we might have to do is talk with Parks and Rec, because they probably have programs on Saturday morning.
I should probably do that.
And we could maybe ask them if they do to park, the parking lot from the church will be open. Just let them know parking might be a little bit.
Yeah.
And
No
it's a
big deal.
concern, I think, for everybody that parking is gonna be a problem. I don't know necessarily how to stop it, but maybe we could all come up with a solution, because my fear is that the farmer's market visitors are going to all try to take up the library's parking.
Yep.
And that meaning that parking lot. And so, quite honestly, the only thing you could do is put up a barricade, but now that stops your own patrons.
Yeah,
So,
you don't want to do that. And really, farmers market people aren't there for the whole thing. When I go to the farmers market, I park, I get my goodies, and then I go home.
Yeah, the
So-
7:30 to 9 o'clock crowd is absolutely that. They know what they want, they're in, they're out.
Yeah.
The 9 to 11 crowd is the family spectators that are kind of there to meet their neighbors and
And
chat.
that may play into something we could set up, some
Yeah.
type of activities in the
We
library.
might
and
benefit
stuff.
from it.
Yeah.
And I know that we do have plans to sign the parking lot differently than what it currently is. And then we have hang tags for our library staff so that people will get the idea that, hey, you should have this tag if you're going to park in this parking lot, because this is the library parking lot. So I don't know that we'll be out there trying to get license plate numbers or anything, but
And maybe one
I know some
sign
people.
that says this
Yeah.
is for library patrons only, and others will be towed. I mean, I know that sounds like a harsh thing, but it might be a way to at least deter those that are willing to follow.
Yeah, we don't want to do that at the library. We never like to turn people.
We don't,
want to do that. We don't do that.
we don't want to do that.
And
but-
I don't think it'll be a problem, you know, there's parking all around and people will, I think you had said that the church has offered their parking lot here and the
churches.
both churches have offered their parking lots, which would be
And the
really,
city lot is still available, right? The one next to the hardware store, so that's not going to be.
City lot is available, and especially on the weekend, on Saturdays, that lot is open, it's not a permit lot. So the Teddy's parking lot, which is what we call it, it's a city parking lot. That is, you do not have to have a permit on the weekends to be in there, so.
Sure.
and it's good that you said you're not closing the roundabout because we did probably have people
Yeah.
pulling right up to the roundabout and nobody knowing
Not
how to
knowing what
back
to
up
do.
and turn around.
Yeah, and it was another one of our large fears was just how do they get out? We're gonna do kind of the same thing on the opposite end on 6th and, or Poplar and 5th, so that they can just turn out.
And, you know, good.
So that it'll be blocked this way, and then they can just turn out, and so we're, literally our plan is to pick up the market as is and grab a whole group of, South End market vendors, and they'll be all on 5th Street. The second group is the middle end, they'll be all on Poplar, and so that most of the vendors will remain next to their partners.
Oh, in
and
the same
neighbors.
order? Oh, that's
Yeah, we're
good.
gonna do our best. There's some that will have to be moved because they have larger vehicles and there's so many little cookie cutouts on 6th Avenue and such, so.
Good.
But,
Is Terica planning on doing the kids market still? Because she was doing that in the parking lot.
she is.
But I don't think she normally doesn't do that at the time of the,
She does.
she did it once, didn't the other one?
Yeah.
But one was a Thursday night, and was the other one a Saturday? I think so.
She's looking at some options, so I don't know if she's got a
And
full
I've been
plan.
working with Terica on a lot of that.
Okay.
So between working with her, we're working on other events too together, but the idea at first was to mix the kids into our market. But she had 70 kids turn up, and there's just how you fit them.
No,
So the other option we had talked about was trying to permit 6th Avenue here and leaving the parking lot as a parking lot, and then just taking, because there's less parking on 6th Avenue than the parking lot. You'd fit more cars in the parking lot. So that was another thing that we just quickly brought up. Last year, she did one of the children's ones, I believe it was right in the middle of August or September. And it worked out great because both of us had a fantastic day by doing it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything she needs, I told her. We're gonna meet, I think, in a couple of days, so. And we're gonna work on, the other event is the Polar Express for a winter carnival. So, it'll work.
she's got some good ideas.
It'll work.
Be positive. Any other questions?
If you have any, please just reach out. Steve's got my contact information. Our job is to keep things going and make sure the businesses are supported and the community is supported, so we're only here to help.
Yep.
So if you need anything, let me know.
No, thank you.
You guys have a good day.
We're excited.
Thank you.
I'll take it. Thank you
Thanks,
much.
Gina. All right.
The only thing I told Steve he might have to think about with the farmer's market is we're gonna have to be sure our bathrooms are supplied.
Yeah, that's true. But
Because-
we could
but
get more traffic.
We'll bring more people
Yeah.
in, which is
So
good,
that's fine.
so. All righty. We'll move on to number 5, Library Director's Report. Mr. Steve.
I included the overview of municipal library boards. That was the document that was intended to be the guiding document when I met with the Mid-Marine Municipal Legislative Committee. I'm not exactly sure if I got that name correct. In Jackson the day after our Library Legislative Day. So there's good information in here. Basically, it gave them an opportunity to understand how funding works and how the library board has control of everything. And then when the municipality decides that we're not gonna have a library anymore, they get everything, and we get to walk away from it if that's something that would be the case, but they're never gonna do that, most likely. I don't know. I have been watching Fox News lately, so I'm not sure if that's true, but, but we're doing great work here yet, so, but this does give those people in the municipality information. So if you're talking to somebody who's a municipal board member or wants to be, you can actually give them that knowledge. And it was written by Claire Silverman from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, so it's always best to use their lawyer to teach them. So
Was that Mike Miller's group?
it was Mike Miller's group. Is that what it was?
Yep.
Did I get the name right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think association.
Association. It was a pretty good event. I tried to stay on focus and talk about the topic was how library boards are different than other boards. But there was a lot of librarians there, so there was a lot of input, and it was really hard to stay on task. And
What, you guys talking shop?
well, there was a lot of people that felt like they needed to express themselves and why libraries are so important, and they are. So I guess that was good that they got an opportunity to do that at that meeting. So I'll talk briefly about Library Legislative Day. I met with 4 people because I met with my representatives from where I live as well as our representatives
work.
here. Yep. So it was I had some really good meetings. I had one really strange meeting. So there is a bill that was not supposed to be brought up while we were there it was Assembly Bill 15, and it's also known for the Tittle, Representative Tittle, which is Manitowoc County. Not quite my area, wrote this, and he wants to have more control, or he wants the government to have more control over what kind of books and resources we provide in libraries. In his heart, he's trying to protect the children. That's the new buzzword is protect the children. That's why we want to have these laws, but in reality, it's censorship, and so that was a strange meeting. After our Library Legislative Day, I noticed that some of our representatives in this area did sign on to that bill as co-authors or sponsors. So I was a little confused why they would do that after we had such a good meeting, and library directors do provide a lot of guidelines and I guess what we'd say bumpers or guidance towards people getting the appropriate resources for their age. So these people just must be
Yeah.
out of touch with how libraries operate.
Yes, and everything in life is subjective. So what one person may think is out of line, another person won't. And where do things stop? I guess that's the thing.
And I think that's kind of what drove the next night's meeting too, is that some of the librarians felt attacked over that.
Okay.
And that was something that they were very concerned about expressing. We were told that this is not something that's going to pass. The governor is going to veto it if something like that came to his desk. So
Yeah.
not a concern at this time, although we have seen other states pass similar legislation. So should we go down that path and not have the same kind of friendly governor towards libraries, we might have that come to us.
That would make it, I don't want our libraries to be police states. I guess
Right.
that's the thing. Parents need to be policing over their children
Yeah.
and things like that. But, okay,
Was
good.
it Strobel that signed on?
I did not see Dewey Strobel's name on it actually.
We visited Strobel and he was very for censorship.
Yeah, that was the really weird meeting, was
Yeah.
Dewey Strobel's meeting. And I thought we had a good meeting with Rick Gundrum, but he did sign on as a co-author. So I will need to reach out to him and say, what are you doing? Especially if our claim is smaller government, why would we want to police that side of things? So that's my feeling.
So is this bill similar to the one we talked about in January, the
The same.
1095?
Yeah.
It's the same.
So it
Okay,
changed
just
to Assembly Bill 15.
Now it's an assembly bill rather than a
Yeah.
review board
Right.
Okay.
So did you,
Katie, would
Yeah,
you
so
give
I
us an
went
update?
up and it was very interesting. There's a lot more people there than I expected to be. I don't know if that's as many people as normally go or if there was more this year.
it was a good sized group. I don't know if it was more or less than
Okay.
past years, to be honest
Yeah,
with
it was a lot more than I thought there would be. And then the governor spoke to us and some representatives and I believe senators.
Yep.
And it was very interesting. Steve took control of each of the meetings and spoke very well for the library, so that was really awesome.
That's because he's so knowledgeable.
Exactly. But yeah, Strobel was definitely the weird meeting, and then Gudrun was very friendly to us. And I only went to 2.
you. And to be fair, Dewey Strobel's meeting was not with
It was not with
Dewey Strobel. It was with his staffer.
Yep.
So, and his staffer, John, likes to argue, from what I understand, or debate.
Yeah.
So that's what I was told after by our legislative coordinator. So that was not uncommon for that kind of meeting. With
But
his-
overall, what was your takeaway?
Overall, I think there's a lot of people that support us. In fact, the one of the leaders of the Republican Party was one of the speakers in our meeting, and she was very supportive of libraries. I've always had the feeling that most people in the legislature are supportive of libraries, and I felt the same that day, that most people were very supportive of libraries. And then when I saw the bill change with all the authors, I was like, I don't know if my feelings were the actual situation. But it also, there's a lot of signaling and craziness in politics, so I don't know what to expect and if there's any meaning behind the Assembly Bill 15 and what people have signed on to it. So I'm going to assume the best in people yet, because I think most people agree that we need good, strong libraries.
Libraries are a very powerful thing. I always go back to Washington County in around the 1980s, in that time frame, and I'm not specific on the dates, but the county wanted to discontinue libraries. That year, there was almost a total turnover of the county board. They were all voted out. And I think that was the year that Pat Strakota entered became a county supervisor up here. But that's one of those stories that's been passed down. It'd probably be a good thing to check into history.
The county, from my knowledge, or from what my knowledge is here, is we've had a really good relationship with the county. And they've been very supportive of libraries probably since that time, which was probably 2013, 2014 maybe is when maybe it was before that. They were providing great funding for libraries, and they still provide good funding for libraries.
Not great.
Not as great as it had been.
Not as great as it had been, but good.
But I think it's something that I would like to work with the county on, developing a strategy for continuing funding libraries. Recently, there's been a wrench thrown in those plans. Some of the other libraries are upset. The county has changed how they're funding the libraries slightly. We did an agreement. We did a contract. All the libraries signed that contract, and I believe all the city administrators signed that contract as well.
Was that that project? Was that the one that replaced the old one for
Yeah.
the capital and all
That
that?
updated the contract.
Okay.
In that, it wasn't laid out specifically that remaining funds that the county brought in for library services would go to the libraries as resource funding. And it was not the intention. What we did last year is we received a check for those resource funds at West Bend Library, and we shared them with the other libraries. And I guess that was not the intention of the
County?
county,
What was the intent? That we would keep that?
that we would hold those funds.
Oh, I can understand why the other libraries would be upset if
Yeah.
we would be getting those ones.
So and I haven't worked it out yet with the county, but I believe that they are going to hold those funds, the resource funds. So it was 1 year that the other libraries got those funds. They put that into their budget, and then they learn now that they aren't going to get those resource funds. So there is a a motion afoot that's been very inflammatory, I guess, in my opinion, and defaming me. And I've seen it in print, so that you will probably hear things from people about the bad things that I did. Honestly, and it does sort of relate to our annual report, the choice of the county had nothing to do with the annual report, the modification to our annual report. Our cost per circulation amongst the libraries stays the same. Well, our cost per circulation went up because of the amendment to the annual report. The other libraries are not getting less because we're getting reimbursed at a proper rate for 2021.
And part of that was because of wasn't it the funding, how our budget ended up last year?
Yep, our budget, we had to make an amendment for both some correction for salary or wages and a larger correction for benefits. And that was revealed to me after the audit, actually well after the audit, because I asked for information. Then I found it in July without, just by chance. I think we talked about it shortly after that. We didn't want to amend the annual report at that time. And we put it off until I said we need to amend our annual report.
It
because,
eventually came down to the fact that to make our annual report correct, we needed to do that.
and that's
So
why it's on
we
the
have
document today. So that's something that we'll talk about a little bit more. But so there is no change for the other libraries as far as funding, except for they're not getting the resource funds that were divided. And we will only be receiving the funding for our databases. So there's a small change in our
Money that we're
money
getting
as
from
well.
them.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that being afoot, and there might be talk about that in the future, but I don't know that there should be, because I think Ashley from the county was very clear. And it is following the letter of the contract. And I think we need to, if the other libraries want to increase funding for libraries, we need to talk about what we're going to use that funding for and document the purpose for that funding. It's not going to just be whatever's left over goes to this, so in the future.
okay. Any questions for Steve on that? It's kind of a
It is,
hairy
it
issue.
is a hairy issue. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it.
Yeah.
And they'll probably check in and see if we talked about it at the meeting, so.
How long is this contract in place for?
It is
I think it's
ongoing.
perfect.
Yeah.
It used to be a 5-year contract, and that was when the county provided us with not only funding for the library services, but they also provided funding for capital. And in the contract, the capital was supposed to be matched one-on-one, $1 for one, by the cities. But that became a area of dispute with some of the cities. They were interpreting it differently. Some were interpreting that it was a one-for-one match. Some were saying okay, the county gives $1 for capital, and we only have to give 50 cents. But these buildings are actually city buildings, so they are city capital. So that caused some issues that the libraries. The other thing that was happening is most of, not us, because we spent our capital, but most of the libraries were not getting a match on capital from their cities. So they were sitting with large dollar amounts in this bucket. This was prior to Steve. The 5 library directors from Washington County petitioned Washington County to change that, to say, we don't want you to give us money as capital. We want you to give it to us as expense.
Yeah.
That caused the rewrite of this contract. Okay, so that's some of the background on
Yeah.
that.
And I'm hoping that we can maintain what we've written in the contract moving forwards, which would be 100% cost of circulation. Our contract also has the payments for automation, I believe we called it. It's something in there.
It also-
Electronic resources. And then the databases are listed in there. And then, did I say outreach? So outreach is also listed in that contract.
But some of the
Intercounty
libraries.
library payments too.
So I'm hoping to work with the county to establish a plan so that those things can continue to get funded at the rate they're getting funded at, or slightly increase if the rates of those things do go up. So,
Yeah, like you said, the county's been good. I mean, not great, but it has been good, and I want to continue
Yeah.
that relationship, and hopefully this won't change because of issues.
right. Hopefully
yeah,
people
you
come to cooler heads, you know. And, the other thing
Money's
that
concerned, heads
Yeah.
are never cool.
the other thing that I wanted you to be aware of is we have a regular complaint from a person about the snow and ice. It's the same person every time there's snow and ice, so we will hear from that person again, most likely. I'm surprised we haven't heard from her today, actually, because sometimes it's before the event happens.
Okay.
The roads aren't clear, the sidewalks aren't clear or clear enough for her. I did explain that we have the same time period that everybody in the city has. We have 24 hours to clear our sidewalks. This does become an issue sometimes on the weekends, but we can shovel a path on the weekends if we need to.
Actually, I heard Brad shoveled a path that one day,
He did.
which is above and beyond. Thank you, Brad.
Good
And
exercise.
I enjoyed shoveling the path the other day too,
Did
and
you?
I was thinking
Oh, okay.
how much I get paid per hour to do it. I was like, this is great. I've never got paid this much to shovel. So,
Okay,
um,
okay.
but we do try to take care of things the best we can. We can't be responsible for the road. We can't shovel that road. We can't do any snow removal on the road. So, and the snow that's there is usually there because there's been cars there when they were doing snow removal. So, we can't be like Walmart, and that's what the person wants. So I will stop there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Steve? He talked longer than I thought.
Wait, I should say one more thing. Upcoming. Well, it's three more things. I'm attending a webinar on inspiring meaningful work, public libraries and workforce development on February 23rd. We are going to Common Council for the roof bid on March 6th. That's important, and it looks like that should go well for us. And then another in-person program positioning the library to provide workforce assistance in our community on March 10th. So now I'll stop.
Okay, would you, if anyone is available for the March 6th at the Common Council, I'll plan on being there.
I think Fred will be
I'll
there.
be there.
Oh, I know you'll be there. But are you an adversary or an advocate?
We'll see.
Okay. Okay. All right. Library Board President's Report, needless to say, nothing this month. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 7, amending the 2021 annual report. And Steve had given you a little bit of background. Basically, every year we have to fill out an annual report, just like income tax that we as people have to do. It is filed to the state. Part of our problem is we have to file this prior to the city audit of funds. And sometimes that can cause a problem because if we report some of the funding and stuff like that and it changes due to the audit, that's why we may have to do an amended. I've never had it happen before, but this last time we did.
Yeah, and actually what happened before is we didn't account for those cash,
Outlays?
whatever they do at the end here. I shouldn't say whatever they do at the end. They distribute some money draws from various accounts in the city right about this time. So in the past, we went with what was budgeted, not what was actual. And that was something that previous directors just stayed with. And the annual report reimburses you for actual costs. So I wanted to make sure that was correct.
And this year it will help us. Going
And-
back, amending it helps us with the actual.
Yeah.
The actual gives us more money from the county than
Right.
budgeted.
So
So this is a more truer,
it is a truer way to do it, and it is the right way to do it.
Right.
And I like to do it the right way. I did verify with Carrie and Human Resources that the 2020 2022 annual report is correct as well. So we are ready to sign that one as well.
Okay.
But we'll start with the 2021. The things that we changed were the salaries and wages and benefits. That's what I said. So that went up. And it increased our cost per circulation about 35 cents, I think, which did result
Which is
in
pretty hefty.
pretty hefty change. I think we're still one of the lowest cost per circ libraries in Washington County. So it also kind of chaps me a little bit that other people are complaining. But our cost per circ is one of the lowest, so we're getting a lower percentage back, but it is a fair way to do it, I think. Any questions on the 2021 annual report?
No. And on the 2021, of course, the names on that wouldn't be some of the new names,
Yeah.
but the new people, because that was signed from a prior year.
There were no other real changes on that report, so that was the
Okay,
only
so I will
area.
sign that, if you've got the copy.
I've got the copy.
Okay,
So, but we do need to vote and approve it, I think.
that's right. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the amended 2021 annual report.
I move to approve the amended 2021 annual report.
Katie, approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Barb, second. Any further discussion on the 2021 annual report? It's a little light reading. If not, I'll call for a vote to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 2022 annual report. Deja vu.
This is, I mean, very similar. They are asking for more information. It was a little bit more of a pain for me to finish this one up because you have to put numbers in certain boxes that we didn't have to worry about before. It would just auto-populate, but hopefully they'll improve in the future. The one note, or there's several notes that I want to go through with you before we approve this one. On page 3, the database or electronic, down on the bottom, the second from the bottom row, 9B is the other is 6,547 is the new total. So we found some extra.
Instead of 5,661, it's 6,000?
Yep, 6,547.
Okay. All right. And that's on the corrected version that I'll sign.
Yep. The next item on page 6, the all operating income. I had a different number in funds carried forward, and I realized that can't be true because we didn't have any money left over at the end of last year. So that is all under all other operating income. That should be 131,519 is that new total there.
On number 7.
On number 7 at the very bottom.
And what
yeah.
page?
This is page 6.
Number
6?
Yep,
Yeah.
page 6, number 7.
6.
What was that number again?
131,519. And that gives us a total operating income of 1,663,481. That's the one right below that. 1,663,481.
Okay.
So the next item.
Before you go on page 5 were the names.
Oh,
Did everybody have a chance to look at their information to validate it? Because this has your email address. I think it's page 5.
yep.
Yeah, page 5. So I just wanted to make sure everybody looked at that.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, now you can go back, Steve.
Now I'm going to go to page 7. Employee benefits is number 2 on page 7. It's $315,922. Because I have to put the decimal point in there, it should be rounded up. So $315,922. And then number 6 on that same page is $1,661,942.
Okay.
So our expenditures were slightly below our revenues in 2022. Now the wages changed, of course, but that's based on our salary evaluation. I did want to point out, and it's on the report, that we did increase our footprint from the previous year. Square footage of the library went from 62 to 67,000 based on the downstairs work that was done in the past.
Okay.
So, although I don't know if it's really library square footage yet, but it is technically under our control, as you saw in the that little information thing I gave you, that the entire library building is under the control of the library board.
I just had a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on page 1, county, that was blank on mine, but I think it's populated on yours.
Yeah, I did populate it on the one that we're going to sign. That is the Washington County.
Okay, and my 21A and B are both not populated on mine.
21A and B.
On page
21A, did your library or branch move to a new facility?
Oh, yes, those are both no's.
Okay, and then my hours of operation, 19C and D for the summer were not populated.
Yep, and now this is the tradition is to populate your winter hours if they don't change for summer hours.
Okay, so that's fine, to not be populated?
That should be fine.
It's weird, but yeah, that's been that way.
Everywhere else they say put the zeros in or whatever, but
Yes, and then, once we approve this, Steve will send out the corrected copy to all of
Yeah.
the board members, so we have a good copy.
yeah.
Okay, and then on page 4, the programs. I see that the adult 19 and up were blank, but I know we have adult craft programs. Did you just put them under the general interest, those numbers?
Yep. I did
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
I
okay.
did that.
'Cause I were
It just made it easier, and because I mean, we're splitting hairs here
Okay.
to the point
I
where I
just
said
wanted
it's
to
all
make
under
sure.
one.
Okay,
Actually, I prefer to put them on general interest always because I feel like our programs are open to all ages. So if somebody wants to learn about Medicare and they're 12, that's fine.
yeah.
You know,
And then I think my last one was on page 7 at the very bottom, trust funds was blank. So we're not trusting held by the library board.
yeah, we don't have any trust funds.
Okay,
Um,
so we just,
yeah. I'm glad you looked at this all.
that was it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie.
Any other questions for Steve? Otherwise, did you have anything else on here?
The only other thing that was significant change is we did say the system did provide adequate support this year because they have a director and she's been pretty good to work with. So
Yeah, last year, or
last year they,
we didn't check that because
Yeah.
we weren't comfortable with what Monarch had provided
yeah,
us.
there was no director and there was no direction.
Yeah,
I think that they're on the right path now.
good. Sure hope so.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Well, if we keep populating the board with good people like Barb, we're going to be good.
Any
Any other
issues?
questions?
If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the 2022 annual report with the changes that Steve has specified.
I move to approve the 2022 annual report with the changes that Steve specified.
I'll
Katie?
second that.
Brett seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What would you do if somebody opposed it?
Back to the drawing board, I guess.
I'm going one up here.
He'd fall over backward.
Okay. Alrighty.
This is not as bad as the budget.
No, it isn't.
So-
No, this is, yeah.
It's pretty easy compared to
It's
that.
just pulling your figures together. All right, moving on to item number C, approve change to November 2023 board and all closed dates for 2023. Thought we had approved the closed dates, but in November, but I might be wrong.
There was a question about the Christmas and New Year holiday.
Oh,
And
because we
so
followed the
I
city.
brought that to Steve's attention because something didn't look right. Finally got some clarification from the city on that regard. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew what it was.
Okay.
And then
that-
I found that the Thanksgiving one, or the November meeting you guys would normally have is right during the week of Thanksgiving.
And we
so-
usually move that one.
Usually
We
you
do,
do, so I
so-
thought, yeah,
yeah.
should be aware of that.
Okay.
Those are the two main points.
Okay, and the Christmas ones are basically, we're closed on Friday, Saturday,
Sunday,
I think it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Yeah,
is it?
it's.
It's how the, yeah, I know
It's
it's
a-
how the contract goes for
Yeah.
the union people. We follow the city
Yeah,
Yeah,
contract, and you needed to know what that was.
So that's why we have the day after Christmas and we have January 2nd off, or
Yeah.
closed as well.
yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Now, the city is closed on Good Friday, but we're open and we give our employees that's a floating holiday, just so we're in compliance with the number of holidays that, but
Yeah.
it's not listed on here, so I just wanted to let everybody know. All right.
I think that's the only one, right?
that's,
What?
that's the only closed date that we have at this, I should say the only date that's not, where we're not closed, that's the holiday,
That's a holiday,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's regular hours.
regular
Yep.
hours.
So, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the changes.
I'll make a motion.
Barb made the
To approve the changes in the
Jay,
board meeting.
Jay,
second that one?
He's got,
Okay, Jay
got
second.
Jay's name on the minutes.
Okay. All right,
He's just
we-
been sitting back there behind you all meeting and it's like, ah!
Smiling. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll call for, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I don't think we have any assigned tasks.
No, but we forgot the last
I
one.
was gonna say,
from-
did you get your library card updated?
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
Look at that.
all right.
That is
Oh, that's-
50.
it's even got a barcode.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't have the metal stamp. I was,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
You
did
did
take
get
care of
that.
that task.
Okay.
Thanks, Brett.
I knew somebody was gonna call me on.
You can learn stuff now.
I will not be here the next meeting. I'm gonna be in Israel.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
I will be far, far away.
Vacation or work?
Yeah, vacation. I'm
Vacation.
taking the Holy Land tour. with the
Oh,
church, yeah.
nice. Very good. Well, we hope you have a great time.
Wow.
That would be our March meeting. Our next regular meeting will be March 21st.
We will have a speaker again there. That one will be a little bit longer because it's the Greater Milwaukee Foundation.
Okay.
And the board would need to approve setting up the foundation if we go forward.
I would think we would probably have them come
Yeah.
and then maybe
We'll
think
talk
about
about it at
it
a
for the
future
next
meeting.
time
Yeah.
as a vote, because you gotta think on something like that.
Yeah, and nothing would happen until the end of the year anyway because our funds are locked up.
Right.
Unless somebody dumped a pile of money on us, which could happen.
Never
That'd be
know.
wonderful.
Okay, with that, it is 6:05. We are adjourned.
Hooray!